How's it going, trainers? So back in 2021, we did a speculative analysis on Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina's signature moves in Go. And since then, we've seen not only those, but a ton of other signature moves added to the game. From Giratina's Shadow Force, to Heatran's Magma Storm, to Reshiram, Zekrom, and Kyurem's signature moves, there's been a lot of them. But did you know that Zekrom and Reshiram have another signature move? That's right, beyond Fusion Bolt and Flare, these two have their own second signature moves, being Bolt Strike and Blue Flare respectively. And while these two are likely a long ways off, I thought it might be fun to speculate how these moves could work in Go, especially seeing that these two are in raids this month. Welcome back, everyone. Now real quick, before we break down the new moves, how good are Zekrom and Reshiram with their current signature moves? Both sit near the top of the electric and fire raid attacker charts, with only a few choices outclassing them, but they're still some of the best out there. And in PvP, both put up a great performance in the Master League, with Reshiram being a solid closer with Fusion Flare, and Zekrom performing similarly with either Fusion Bolt or Wild Charge, but that one's more up to playstyle preference. But I do think Blue Flare and Bolt Strike could improve both of these two even further without making either absurdly broken. So let's start off with their raid stats. Now in terms of raid stats, I went back and forth on how I should present these moves. 50 energy 2-bar moves or 100 energy 1-bar moves. Because the fusion moves were both 1-bar, I really wanted to go with 2-bar moves to make them a bit different. But I know Niantic has leaned into 1-bar moves a lot, with moves like High Horsepower, Poltergeist, Meteor Beam, Glaciate, and obviously the fusion moves all being 100 energy, so I'd be inclined to say they're going to continue this trend with a lot of other signature moves. Plus, these two moves are really high damage in the main series, so 1-bar moves actually make sense for them. Starting off with Reshiram and its second signature move, Blue Flare, I was thinking about how this move could be better than Fusion Flare while remaining a 1-bar move, and the answer is actually pretty simple. Make it stronger like Overheat, but keep a similar quick cooldown like Fusion Flare. So like Overheat, Blue Flare would have a high power of 160, up from Blue Flare's 140, but then where Overheat lasted for a sluggish 4 seconds, Blue Flare would be a quicker 2.7 seconds total. It's still slower than the previous signature move, but the stronger power would make this new move the overall best one. And performance-wise, Reshiram wouldn't necessarily take anyone new, but it would still inch closer to the two Firestarter Megas. For balancing, I don't think it needs to be much stronger than them. And for Bolt Strike, it's a similar deal. 160 power and a moderate cooldown time. Though, just like how Zekrom's Fusion Bolt was slightly quicker to help it beat Wild Charge, I'd imagine Bolt Strike would do a similar thing. And unlike Fusion Bolt Zekrom, I do think this move would be enough to let it dethrone Xurkitree as the top electric attacker. Xurkitree is frail, but often pulls ahead with its incredible speed of damage. But this Bolt Strike would make Zekrom the top electric attacker in most scenarios. So yes, I expect these moves to both be really good, but who knows what will come in practice. Having two signature moves of the same type is rather unprecedented. But now let's look at PvP, where the fusion moves were relatively cheap, but still strong at 45 energy and 90 power. I definitely wanted to mix things up more here in PvP, and I think Niantic definitely would too. I have little doubt that these two would be a lot stronger, but also more expensive. So here's what I came up with. Both attacks would again be pretty much identical, costing 60 energy and having 130 power, and also a 20% chance to decrease the opponent's attack one stage. In the main series, these moves both have the same effect percentage to burn or paralyze the opponent. With both these effects being translated to attack debuffs in Go, I thought it was appropriate to have that for these moves. These moves would effectively be clones of Origin Pulse and Precipice Blaze, but with an added effect chance, making them incredibly good. I wanted them to rival Fusion Flare and Fusion Bolt while not being objective improvements. More expensive, but overall better. Now in terms of damage per energy, they're both a good step up, and the debuff chance is another plus, but the question then becomes, what moves do you run alongside it? Well, I'd say for coverage's sake, Reshiram and Zekrom would probably both want Crunch as something cheap that would provide different coverage. I could see some opting for both the fusion move and the new move alongside Dragon Breath, but it really depends if you want more power or better coverage. And the one thing that prevents these moves from being too powerful would come with Dragon Breath, Zekrom and Reshiram's preferred fast move for PvP. It's a great move, but it's a bit slower in terms of energy generation compared to some other moves, so neither would be throwing these moves too quickly. The big thing these moves would provide would be more options. I'm sure a definitive moveset would come out, whether it be these new moves or the fusion moves, but I think just having new options for Reshiram and Zekrom would be advantageous. Uncertainty from the opponent can definitely swing things in your favor. For Zekrom, do you go with the self-debuffing but powerful Wild Charge, the safer but slightly weaker Fusion Bolt, or the nuke move like Bolt Strike that can also debuff the opponent, turning the tide in your favor? And it's the same with Reshiram. I wouldn't expect either of these Pokemon to be revolutionized with these moves, but I think they could be valuable for the two legendaries. But what do you think? Do you like our speculative placements for these moves, or would you have done them differently? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say. And later on, when the moves eventually come, we can always compare them to see how we did. If you enjoyed this video though, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more analysis videos. With the amount of signature moves we've received in raids over the past couple years, I'm sure we'll have many more to analyze and speculate on in the future. I know with Sinnoh coming up, Dialga and Palkia's signature moves are probably right around the corner. Until then though, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.